The Mercedes team has been having a rough go at it, with their season starting off on the wrong foot. In a bold move, they've even scrapped their design and switched to a more popular one, but it looks like their star driver, Hamilton, is feeling the heat and getting fed up with his team's lack of listening skills. He warned them last year that their design was a total no-go, but did they listen? Nope. And now they're paying the price. And the clock is ticking for Hamilton, who is turning 40 soon and running out of time to snatch that coveted 8th World Championship title and break Schumacher's record. The pressure is on, and he's got some big decisions to make, especially with his contract up at the end of 2023. Eddie Jordan thinks Hamilton needs to ditch Mercedes and switch over to Ferrari. Can you even imagine the chaos that would erupt if this happened? The F1 world would be turned upside down. The future of Hamilton in the sport is once again the talk of the town, with his contract with Mercedes set to expire at the end of the F1 2023 season. And let's just say he's not exactly thrilled with the current state of affairs. After a disappointing 2022 season where Mercedes only managed one pole and victory courtesy of George Russell, the team was determined to bounce back and return to the top of the grid. But it seems like they've taken a massive step backwards instead. The first two rounds, the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian GPs, have been a total bust for the team, with their best result being a measly P4 for Russell. And as for Hamilton, it's been a pair of P5 finishes, and he's not holding back on his criticisms of the latest Mercedes creation. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff is sounding the alarm bells, warning that the team could lose Hamilton if they don't start winning again. And with his contract up in the air beyond this year, the rumors are running wild. Eddie Jordan, the former owner of the Jordan Grand Prix team, has a spicy take on all of this. He's calling for Hamilton to join Ferrari, and honestly, it's hard to argue with him. Formula One needs Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari, and Ferrari needs Lewis Hamilton, he says. Could this be the opening that Hamilton has been waiting for? And let's not forget about Red Bull, the current kings of the F1 world. They've been dominating the competition with a pair of 1-2 finishes and both pole positions up for grabs. It's a winning ticket, and they are sitting pretty at the front of the grid. While many believe that Max Verstappen would be the one to shut the Red Bull door on Hamilton, former team owner Eddie Jordan has a different theory. He reckons that Red Bull would be reluctant to let Sergio Perez go, and that could be the biggest obstacle standing in the way of Hamilton joining the team. The drama is who is going to move aside, he ponders. After all, Red Bull is all about nurturing their own drivers, like they did with Verstappen. So, where does that leave Hamilton? Well, he's a Mclaren man at heart, but with the team struggling, it's unlikely he'll go back there. That leaves just two other options, Ferrari or Mercedes. Eddie Jordan has more to say about the Hamilton-Ferrari rumor mill. He believes that Hamilton may be feeling a bit neglected at Mercedes, especially after their recent performance woes. And with no contract signed yet, the 7-time champ may be considering his options. But who will replace him at Mercedes? Jordan has an idea: Charles Leclerc. Jordan thinks Leclerc would be a perfect fit for Mercedes, and he would love to see the Monegasque go head-to-head with Russell. A driver swap would be a dream come true, with Hamilton joining Ferrari and Leclerc going the other way. I know Leclerc quite well as a person, and he's magnificent, but he's no Hamilton. So who is to say it would be any different, said Jordan. It's a tantalizing prospect, but only time will tell if it will come to fruition. For now, F1 fans can only speculate on what the future holds for Hamilton and Mercedes, and rather the 7-time champ will end up behind the wheel of a prancing horse. I'm sure everyone in F1 would love to see a swap between Hamilton and Leclerc. That would be mouthwatering. When I dream of Hamilton going to Ferrari, it is just a thought because he has won 6 World Championship titles with Mercedes, so he might want to stay. Then again, all the great drivers would feel the pull of a great team like Ferrari. That's where I think Hamilton should end up. As much as we all want to see Hamilton in the red of Ferrari, it's hard to imagine him making the switch when the team's current position in Formula One standings is less than impressive. Let's face it, Hamilton is not going to join a team that is not a serious contender for the championship. Despite Mercedes' struggles in F1 2023, it seems that Ferrari has an even steeper climb to catch up to Red Bull's dominance. Sure, Leclerc was only a fraction of a second off Perez's pole time, but the race pace still needs a lot of work. The Bahrain and Saudi Arabian GP saw Sainz and Leclerc finishing P6 and P7 respectively, which is far from where they want to be. It's not all doom and gloom for Ferrari though. With time, they could close the gap and become genuine challengers once again. but whether that will be enough to convince Hamilton to leave the safety of Mercedes and take a risk with the Scuderia is yet to be seen. As much as the idea of Hamilton joining Ferrari and leading them to a championship triumph is an enticing proposition, it seems unlikely that Hamilton would see it as a better option than staying with Mercedes, especially considering the latter's impressive track record in recent years. In fact, at the most recent race in Saudi Arabia, Ferrari's lackluster race pace was on full display, with both drivers tailing the Mercedes pair and struggling to catch up to Aston Martin as well. While the romantic notion of Hamilton matching Michael Schumacher's record by winning his 8th title with Ferrari may sound like a fairy tale ending to his illustrious career, it's hard to see Hamilton being swayed by such an idea at this point in time. It's not just about Lewis Hamilton's personal decision to switch teams, retire, or stay with Mercedes. No, it's much bigger than that. You see, there's a whole bunch of other drivers whose fate is locked on his decision. If the 7th-time champ decides to call it quits, it will cause a major upheaval in the racing world. And let me tell you, it's going to be wild. Take Mercedes for instance. They value Charles Leclerc as a driver, but if Hamilton retires, they'll make Leclerc their top priority. And that could mean trouble for Lando Norris, who's already feeling pretty disappointed with McLaren. Poor Zach Brown probably won't be able to give him a championship-winning car anytime soon. But if Mercedes doesn't get Leclerc, they might go for Lando instead. But if they get Leclerc, Lando will be free to take his place at Ferrari and join up with Sainz. Talk about a game of musical chairs. Now I know what you're thinking. What about Red Bull? Well, let me tell you. Max ain't going nowhere, and if Perez decides to leave, hardly anyone would want to be Verstappen's teammate after all of his outbursts and selfishness. Yikes. So you see, it's not just Hamilton's decision to retire that's at stake here, it's the entire racing world. And while some might say it's just a sport, I say it's much more than that. It's a battle of the minds, a test of courage, and a showcase of sheer determination. So buckle up, my friends, because things are about to get crazy in the world of Formula One. Who knows what Hamilton's going to decide? Maybe Mercedes will take a chance on Russell as their new #1 driver. He's been feeling pretty confident lately, and despite the current situation with Mercedes' car, he's shown himself to be a pretty reliable driver, and even beat Hamilton in quite a few races. It would make sense for TOTO to focus on him if Hamilton retires or leaves. Nico Rosberg also believes that George Russell is a future world champion, and at the moment, Russell is Lewis Hamilton's biggest test for his quest for the 8th title. But this is all ifs and maybes. The outcome of all of this would probably be influenced by the results of this season, which are predictable for now. But this is Formula One we're talking about, and always the unexpected happens. Do you think Hamilton can make a shock move for Ferrari? Or can his retirement cause all hell to break loose? Let us know in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more.